Nick, you mentioned before the game being concerned with Joel's ability to play games and play minutes. For him to near 46 minutes, and it didn't seem like he lost much in towards the end of the game, triple-double, I guess. Just what does that tell you about the amount of progress that he made?
Well, yeah, it's certainly a pretty big step forward, I think, for sure. It wasn't, I mean, once you go to overtime, you know you're going to tack on 5 there. I wasn't planning on running him the full 12 in the fourth, obviously. Wanted to get him a couple minutes there, but just couldn't quite sneak it in there as the way the game was. So it's great to see. He'll get in shape here pretty soon if he's playing that many minutes. Yeah.
You could talk to go to Kelly tonight. Well, obviously, what went into that was a matchup base, and is this something based on the performance you saw that you might roll with moving forward? Yeah,
I think more performance-based probably than anything. I mean, it's a tough one. I think Barlow's played outstanding again tonight, you know. But Kelly obviously has been a pretty big spark plug getting to the rim, just guarding a really tough matchup every night as well. So it went that way. You know, he's pretty experienced as well, right?
I guess what was your kind of point of view on the non-call with the goaltending?
Well, I don't have the greatest view all the time. And I think Tyrese almost like on purpose tried to get it to the backboard extra quick, right? He almost like threw it into the backboard real quick. I mean, listen, they're supposed to call those. If there's any chance at all, it's a goaltend because they can review it. And if they can't review it, if they don't call it. But if they, so they can get it right? And I've actually been in games with those guys that they've called more than like 2 or 3 times. And you get it when they call it, right? But they didn't. I guess they just thought it was too far under, or they didn't see it, so they didn't call it.
What was the message to your team after that moment where you guys should have had a 2-point lead late in regulation, going into overtime, and what does it say about the resiliency of the team that you were able to overcome that and still win the game?
Well, I said to him during one of the timeouts there at the end, and even post-game, I said, listen, we played really well. We just had a stretch. I think it was a stretch where we missed like 5 wide open shots in a row, and we went down like 9, I think. And that's going to happen, man. Like, you can't do anything but execute your offense and look for great shots. And sometimes they're not going to go in, and we just got to make sure we don't give up any transition when we don't score. And, it's going to happen, and you're going to find yourself down 8, 9, 10, and you're going to have to battle back. And I think they obviously did. They hung in there, and I thought we had a bunch of really good plays at the rim. Tyrese made one. Kelly made one kind of in transition. So they kept just playing, and that's what I was just trying to get them to do, because there was nothing wrong. It wasn't like we weren't getting shots, or we weren't getting the right shots, or the right guys weren't. There's nothing. It was we just happened to miss like a stretch of 4 or 5, and they hit some bombs. Right, that's going to happen. You've got to keep playing.
You mentioned the word execution. It felt like it was probably one of your highest level execution games, between hunting the switches with Joel, getting him on smalls, and then end of the game, Tyrese able to attack the way he was. So I guess, how'd you feel about the offense?
Well, I felt really good because it wasn't easy, because they were moving pieces like crazy, right? They were moving matchups, and they played a whole bunch of different schemes, and we're trying to get certain guys, in certain places, trying to keep certain guys out of things. So the guys did a good job. There was a few new wrinkles to some kind of old stuff we've been running a lot that we got to sprinkle in there tonight too, that were good. And I thought we reacted for the most part really good to the double teams and stuff too. So it was pretty good.
How big was Paul down the stretch? It seemed like he didn't have the great shooting game, but then he comes up with 2 huge defensive plays.
It was great that he pulled that off, considering where he was at going into overtime. Right? He just, won again, like 3 quick fouls, a little bit touchy, 1 push off, and, he gets 10 minutes in the first half or something because of foul trouble. Hard for him to ever really get into the game. And tried to get him into a little bit and call a couple plays for him. But most of the time they were switching and ended up going right back inside to Joel on some of those, so he didn't really get any looks there. But to come out and hit, obviously that one he hit in the corner was huge. And then to come out and come off again, that was a little bit of a wrinkle into a play we run quite a bit that we haven't run before, and he comes off and hits that top of the key three, but then he had that huge block, so he got into the game. I mean, got to touch it some, he's got to score it some, and then we'll see some defensive stuff out of him too.
You made the decision to have Kelly and PG kind of guarding Şengün and KD and kind of switch that. I guess, what was the thinking behind that? And then was there communication with them to kind of know who to have when, or were they kind of doing that?
Well, it just depended on what they were running. Like one of the things we were doing was when they were pinning down for KD, we were switching to deny, so that automatically got us into a switch. So then they would flip-flop guys right there on that, and KD, that's like his specialty, right? So he does it quite a bit. Yeah, that was one thing. I mean, we had to move PG off him a little bit because of foul trouble. We had to. I thought Barlow came in, battled him, fouled him some, but he used a couple good ones. And just again, I mean, KD was awesome. And I was more disappointed in the times we let him get free. Like we lost him once or twice in transition. We lost him a couple times on offensive rebound kickouts. It's hard. We need everybody to go in and rebound, and they were really hard to keep off the glass. And then we doubled him once and then lost him on a double, which is that we can't have that, right?
Nick, Joel's had a couple of very good passing games lately. I guess what do you attribute that to? Do you see him the floor better, or?
Yeah, I just think that he's getting rid of it much earlier. You know what I mean? I mean, I think it's kind of like, I don't know, he sees the double coming, and as they're coming toward him, he's getting rid of it. So there's kind of the ball going that way, they're still coming this way, rather than waiting till he's totally surrounded and he can't even get his arms, he's just getting rid of it, I think, a little bit quicker. I think, yeah.
Is part of that understanding with his teammates and knowing kind of where they are?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it's again, they got to have great spacing, and we need some great cutting. They got to be in the places where he in his line of vision. So that's their job to do that.
You talked already a little bit about the starting group. That 5-man lineup really hasn't seen much time together this season. I guess just what did you like about that group to go with it, and what did you see from it tonight?
Well, I think it's certainly a pretty potent offensive group, right? And Kelly kind of fits in with the shooting of PG and Tyrese. Right? VJ's kind of the hybrid. He'll cut and shoot, but Kelly's kind of Kelly does too, obviously, but he's a really good cutter, especially him and Joel. So it's a pretty potent offensive group, and I think if KO and PG are going to give that effort on defense, I think VJ and Tyrese always give a pretty good effort on defense, and then now we're got a group that's playing at both ends, right?
You matched your win total from last season tonight. I know 24 wins is not the goal.
It's awesome. Hope we can get one more this year.
I guess, what do you think the big difference is at this point?
Well, obviously we're much, much healthier, right? We got our main guys playing. I think there's some more athleticism and youth to survive a little bit better when we do have a couple of guys banked up. So, and they fight, I think. I mean, there's only been a couple nights this year that we haven't come out and at least gives ourselves a chance to win, and that's pretty good so far.
Nick, I know there's a lot.
They are a lot healthier. They're now 6-7 with everybody available, and that is a big improvement because they were still working their way to get everybody kind of together and cohesive. And this is a big win. This is a win where they were down 9 points pretty much, it seemed like the entire fourth quarter. Reed Sheppard got hot there, and you're thinking, oh, no, you can't have him get hot and Kevin Durant and then everybody else, and then no scoring on the other end. But the Sixers fought. So where do you think that this would rank when you look at the way they were able to fight back for you?
Oh, I mean, in terms of wins over the season, I think top 3 maybe. Yeah. I mean,
Nick's
in terms
game
of
maybe up there too.
Yeah. In terms of the game should have been won in regulation, right? So then you go into overtime knowing that you should have won, and you got to fight back. And then the way in which they did it, I think too, there was a question there in the middle of the third quarter of were they going to respond to the run, right? Rockets had went on a huge run, 10-0, 12-0, and so you're looking like we've seen this story before, Mark. Are they going to respond the way we want, or are they going to fold? And I thought they had a great response, and they continued that into overtime. But the momentum from everyone, I think that's what I got out of Nick Nurse's conversation to us was everybody pitched in, right? We saw Kelly, we saw PJ, we saw Embiid, we saw Maxey, we saw VJ, right? That's what it takes to win in this league is and company showing up, and we got it done.
And contributing is not always scoring.
Right, 100%.
You know, you look at the defensive effort that Paul George gave in that overtime, and you look at the little subtle things like VJ all over the place, rebounding, getting passing lanes, get deflections. Contributing comes in so many more forms, but sometimes we just look at the stat sheet and first thing we go to is scoring. But when you watch the game, you see the impact players can have other than scoring.
Yeah, to that end, though, in the scoring sheet, there was a plus 21 next to Joel Embiid's name in a game they won by 6. That is big. Oh, it's our favorite song.
Let's go.
Who doesn't love this
Number one
song?
on
It's our
your
first.
charts.
Ice gets to hear her first. Clap your hands. She's heard it before, obviously, but now she gets to hear it in her ear deep, and so it'll never leave her earworm. Clap your hands, everybody. Sixers get the win. Their 24th of the year, and it is January 22nd, and those are two very good things. We'll talk about this. Also, hopefully hear from more players and talk about that stretch run for the Sixers coming up here on Sixers Postgame Live, brought to you by Pure Auto Insurance. Let's check out our road ahead. They have the Knicks here, and that is an ABC game, 3 o'clock, before the snow gets here, so enjoy that one. Then they go on the road to Charlotte on Monday. Hopefully they can get out because it's Snowmageddon happening. And then, right back at it, back at home. A nice homestand. They have a 500 record at home, and chance to improve upon that. When we check out the standings, I mean, listen, we all know the Rockets are very good. The West is stacked, but the East has a lot of parity in it, and I think that's when you're looking at it. You're a game and a half behind the Knicks, who just dismantled the team the other night after they got dismantled by the Mavs. So they dismantled the Nets. But it's all very tight in there when you're looking at the Knicks, Raptors, Sixers, Cavaliers, who are up and down, and then what I call the play-in tournament, which is now the Heat, Bulls, Hawks. They're always in there. But this is an important win, Mark, not just for home, but for where you are in the standings.
Absolutely. I think it's very critical to understand how close we are and to take advantage of it, because we let some slip away that we shouldn't have.
Tyrese
and it's time to make up for it. Hopefully this game could be momentum that does that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you have to win a game twice, you would think it's double the momentum.
Yeah, I like what Tyrese said about being resilient, right? And just kind of, this is tough games to win. And this is a game in which you take it over and you want carryover and momentum. And you feel like you earned it. You feel like I did a little something extra in order to get it. So I think I would walk away with a little bit more moxie if I was them.
Yeah, the Knicks, they've gotten 2 up there. I know the Knicks will be coming in with some firepower on that one. It's always a great battle between the Knicks and the Sixers, a traditional rivalry, and it'll be a good win. That comes your way on Saturday. We will see you on Monday for our next game. Thanks so much for joining us here on Sixers Postgame Live, brought to you by Pure Auto Insurance. For Mark Jackson and Ice Young, I'm Amy Fadul. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, everyone.